Is it your case that not even a single one of your members, persons living with disability, have been engaged or employed by the Ghana Employment Agency after the whole debacle or the whole issue about the toll booths occurred?
Good evening, my boss, for having me. Good evening to your listeners as well. Well, first of all, let's state that we're about 800 toll booth workers, former toll booth workers, and who were promised that we're going to be reassigned. And then also there's another promise that we want this conversation to be had. It shouldn't be swept under the carpet. That we are going to be paid a monthly salary until we are reassigned. Now, yesterday we saw in the media space that, like you rightly said, YEA, the government claims that through YEA it has employed some 99 of PWDs who used to work at the various toll booths. We wish to state that even though we do understand or accept that the government is taking steps to, as it were, solve or fulfill its promise of reassignment, it is not true that those 99 people have been engaged. What is true is that they have gone for interviews. Now, as to whether they will be employed or not is another matter altogether. They have not been given any form of employment letters.
How long ago were these interviews, or did they attend these interviews?
They started yesterday, and even today, I heard that some of them were slated for today. So for the CEO to come out and say that 99 have been employed is not entirely true. They have started the process. They have gone for interviews for them to be employed. What baffles us is that since this has been coined as trying to fulfill the government's promise to former toll booth workers, out of that 282 number that was quoted, and 99 are former toll booth workers, where from the rest that makes up the 282, where from there, how did they get on board what has been promised former toll booth workers? And then also, about 800 of us, like I earlier said, former toll booth workers. What's going to happen to all of us? What has happened is that some of the persons living with disability who were working legitimately under the toll regime were people who did not have secondary education. Even with their GSS level of education, they were okay working at the toll booth. This module that came sidelined all of them, those with the GSS level, sidelined them, and the door was open for only people who had the minimum of SHS qualification. So that section of disabled or PWDs who did not have SHS have also been put aside, and nothing has been said about this. The unfortunate thing in the posture of the government is that initially, when all these things happened, they were engaging Ghana Toll Workers Union, which is us, the union, us who used to work for the various toll booths. The government was engaging us through the Ministry of Roads and Highways, the Honorable Minister for Roads and Highways, and other government, people in authority. But as we kept pressing for making the demand for the promises that was made to us, which is the salary arrears and then the reassignment, at a point in time, they shifted, the government or the authorities shifted their focus and started dealing with the Ghana Federation of Disabled. Ghana Federation of Disabled, even though there were persons with disability who were working at the toll station, that is not the right agency for the government to be dealing with when it comes to matters of toll booth workers. The right people to be dealing with is the Ghana Toll Workers Union.
I see. Yes, but before that, you said that government promised to be paying your monthly salaries, which I think government is still doing, right? So as you speak, end of January, you got paid the same amount of money you were paid whilst you were doing the work. Now that you are at home, the same money is still coming to you?
No.
They've stopped paying contrary to the promise?
Yes, they stopped paying. What they did was that in 2021, November, if you recall, we rightly recall, November, the closure happened, 17th November. I will never forget that date, 17th December. And it happened. And then the actually paid the November and December together for the 2021. But from January 2022 up to as I'm talking to you now, nobody has been paid a single cedi. But this is a promise that was captured.
So do you term that as arrears owed you by government, or have you had conversations on that, and what has government been telling you?
Initially, when we started engaging the government and the authorities, including the Minister for Roads and Highways, Honorable, and even as reiterated by the then Deputy Majority Chief Whip, I forgot the name.
Is it Habib from Tolon? Yes.
Habib Kisu. Reiterated when we presented our petition in Parliament. He said that the government is taking steps to pay us a monthly allowance for upkeep until they find us alternate livelihoods. And with the closed doors meeting that we've had with the Honorable Minister for Roads and Highways, Honorable Amakwata, he has also said it on countless occasions that the government is going to pay us. So we know that the government owes us, because the promise was that we will pay you until we reassign you. So until that reassignment happens, the government owes us. And then also, let's make this point also clear. I mean, those of us who used to work with the private, because I was a private contractor, I was handling about 20 of the major tolls in the country. Now, we kept engaging them as well, alongside engaging the Ministry of Roads and Highways. And somewhere in June 2022, they gave us a letter of termination of employment because they felt that the government was not fulfilling its part of the budget, because the salary or the pay was supposed to go through them, because they were paying us. So it was supposed to go through them to be given to us, to pay it into our accounts. But because it wasn't forthcoming, they couldn't hold the front for government anymore. So they had to terminate our employment. So, I mean, granted that we are going to go by paperwork and by strict law, not by promises, not by words that were said. What evidence we have is that our termination of employment took effect in June 2022. So what it means is that from January 2022 to June 2022, we were legally employed by the Tolls and Routes Management Limited, which was contracted by the government to collect tolls for them. So legally or on paper, the government owes us from January 2022 to June 2022 if they will not go by their promises that they made to us.
Very well. We want to thank you so much for making time to speak to us, and I'm sure your concerns as raised will be